Great Marriage Cast. I'm Tony. This is LaRonda.
Hello.
Here's Katie.
Hi, Katie.
And Annabelle is sitting underneath the desk. And so if you want to see the dogs, then you might tonight. So we'll see. I'm going to turn it over to LaRonda. She has one of Omi's songs. That's her mother that her mother wrote years ago, and so this is dedicated to Omi.
This is called Christ Was Born. Long ago in Bethlehem, a little babe was born. They called him Jesus. They called him Jesus. The wise men traveled so far. They followed the star to the stable to see the Savior. Mary and Joseph were so proud as they watched the people bow to their little baby in a manger. Now we celebrate that blessed, glorious day. The gifts we give with love reminds us of his birth. Remember Christmas Day, and don't forget to pray and thank our blessed Lord for the day that Christ was born. What a miracle that day as he lay there in the hay. He is our Savior, born on that special day. So that was written December 1991, Tony. That's a long time ago. 1991. Long time ago. I typed it up for her. Her handwritten version's in behind it, so.
1991.
1991. That's a long time ago. Long time ago.
See what you think about that. Katie got cuckoos all over the
Well,
place.
she went out into the woods or something.
No, down there in that. She's chasing rabbits down there.
She's a rabbit dog.
Down there in that brush pile.
Literally, she's a rabbit dog.
Okay, so tonight we are starting Sissy. We're starting your book.
We tried to call.
We tried to call you, but it's My Life Story by Sandra K. Baugh Carlson.
AKA Sissy.
Dissy. D-I-S-S.
Dissy for him, Sissy for me.
D-I-S-S-Y. Everybody calls her Sissy.
Everybody. Everybody call Dad Baugh, Dad Baugh. We still call Dad Baugh.
Uncle Cecil,
Uncle Cecil. Yep.
Well, we decided that we would just read it and give not give commentary because to preserve the sanctity of it. Maybe when we're done, or if Sissy comes on, we might discuss it with her while we're reading it. But
Sissy's story.
But Sissy's story. Maybe whenever we get done reading it, we might do a commentary on it. But
unless she hoons in on us,
right?
She might.
The first chapter is, I think, what happened was her daughter Holly sent her a list of questions for her to answer, if I remember correctly. I don't see a
that's right.
Preface. I said I wasn't going to do any comments.
Oh yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, but I can't
it's
help it.
Kind of hard.
It's kind of hard to preface this. I believe that Holly sent her some questions. She answered them, and then she decided to put them in a book. And so this is actually in her backyard. Look at that view.
Isn't that gorgeous?
That's out her back window. She has actually windows all the way across the back of her house, and that's her view from out from her living room, dining room.
Yes, it's gorgeous. I love it.
And her bedroom.
I drew it when I was out there.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So that's so the first question was, how did you get your first job? So if this becomes emotional, I don't know if it is, but if it does, I'll turn it over to LaRonda.
I got my glasses ready.
And let her read. So when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to attend a vocational school half day during my junior and senior years. I thought it would be a good idea to learn valuable skills to get a job after leaving high school or during the summer in college. The program I participated in provided me with typing, shorthand, accounting, and business etiquette classes. As part of this program, I was one of 5 classmates interviewed for a part-time job at the U.S. Corps of Engineers, Lake Cumberland. I was thrilled to be selected and worked for them part time for 2 years. I was only 16 to 18 years old, and this seasoned and mature secretary and park rangers took me under their wing and mentored me. It was a job with the U.S. government, and at their urging, I took the civil service exam. I worked for the U.S. Forestry Service, the U.S. Army uh, Maintenance Management Center, where the photo is taken, and finally, the Veterans Administration Hospital in Lexington, Kentucky, before I moved to Arizona when I was 28 and met Brian. So
She looks like Heather there.
she does.
Yeah, to me. Sissy, you look like Heather there. Yep.
So that's a picture of her working
She was
at the
probably
Corps of
16,
Engineers.
17.
Yes, 16, 17, 18.
Let me see it real good. Yeah, that looks like Heather.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
And you have to remember, she's probably like me. She looked like she was 10 years younger than she actually was.
Yeah. Me too.
Next question, or next chapter is, what were your grandparents like? So this is my grandparents too. So when I was 6 years old, we moved into the home where my dad still lives. Our house was 1 mile away from my dad's parents and about 2 miles from my mother's. We were all very close and spent a lot of time together. I called my pair, uh, paternal grandparents, William Cornelius and Nettie Frances Baugh, Grandpa and Grandma. They were available to babysit anytime, and if needed, I stayed with them. Grandpa's farm was next to his parents, where I grew up. Grandma and Grandpa eloped in 1928 when he was 27 years old and she was 23. No comment there. In the early years of their marriage and during the Depression, Grandpa had several jobs as such as surveying tobacco and sawing lumber all day with a crosscut saw in the logwoods. But mainly, he was a farmer. Their 30-acre farm grew almost everything they needed: corn and wheat. They took to the mill and traded for cornmeal and flour,
Yeah.
and hay to feed the cattle, hogs, and mules. Their transportation and work animals. They had chickens that provided eggs and fried chicken when the preacher came for Sunday dinner. They cultivated an acre for a vegetable garden, and they had fruit trees. Sugar and coffee were two of the few things they purchased at the store. Grandma was a tall, sturdy woman who worked from sunup to sundown. She tended the garden, sold eggs at the store for household funds, canned goods to be put in the cellar, sewed all their clothes except for Grandpa's denim overalls, and cooked delicious meals. When I was a little girl, we went to Grandma's house every Sunday for the new meal dinner. She always had everyone's favorite food prepared. I liked fried potatoes, so she made fried potatoes. Dad liked mashed potatoes, so she made mashed potatoes.
Will that be called codependent?
No comments, I said.
I'm kidding.
Yes, it was. I told you, quintessential If you look up in the Webster's dictionary, my grandmother's picture will be there. But anyway, every Sunday was. That's why I said we better not comment on this. Sorry, sissy.
I love it. I love it, Sissy.
Every Sunday was like a Thanksgiving dinner. Grandma was a Christian of strong faith. We were lifelong members of White Oak Baptist Church, her church of origin. Her grandma attended and worked in the church, and Grandpa was a deacon. Her grandfather, Walker Wilson, had been the pastor there in the 1800s. Grandma had an excellent bluegrass singing voice and would play the pump organ. For many years, their primary source of entertainment was attending local church revivals, and they asked Grandma to play the organ and sing. Uh, See the photo of Grandma and me in front of her house.
Oh,
It's on the next page, but I'll
look
go
at
ahead and show it.
that. Oh. There you go. You can see it now.
I can see it now.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. I called my maternal grandparents, Brent and Ada Cora Tarter. Daddy Brent and Mammy Tarter.
Daddy Brent.
Because my mother was the 13th child of 15 children. Those grandparents were older than Grandma and Grandpa. All of my grandparents had their children at home and only called the doctor in case of emergency. When my mother was born, was one of those times. Daddy Brent rode a horse to fetch the doctor and gave my grandmother to save my grandmother's life. All 15 children outlived her. They were blessed. Daddy Brent's farm was about 250 acres, and he had 10 sons to work the farm. They grew wheat, corn, and sugarcane with a large garden and an orchard of fruit and nut trees. They had cattle, hogs, sheep, mules, and horses. Daddy Brent never learned to drive. He rode a mule, drove a wagon with the team, or later was chauffeured in a car or truck by one of his children. Mammy Tarter worked from sunup to sundown. When she sat down at night, she always had a darning basket in her lap where she darned socks or patched clothes. She had a significant chicken and egg operation and sold chickens and eggs. Her parents owned a small grocery store, and she had been a school teacher before she married. She had good business acumen and worked with Daddy Brent to organize and run the farm. She was a small boned, petite woman. I am more like her than any of my other ancestors. Like me, she didn't have as much stamina as my other grandma. And every afternoon, she would lie down for 20 minutes and rest before she continued working the remainder of the day. She was also a fabulous cook. Mammy Tarter was a member of Bernetta Baptist Church, and she attended there. What was your favorite toy as a child? When I was 3 years old, I received a desk with an attached small bench seat for Christmas. The top of the desk was a blackboard. I remember it. Yeah, I could write on it with chalk, and the lid lifted, and I could store things inside. And I loved playing the piano, and I had a tiny piano that when you pushed on the keys would make high pitched sounds like a piano. You could play a tune. The photo shows me at grandma's house sitting at my desk and playing that piano.
Let's see.
Here.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah. And no comments.
Why? It's cute.
Well, no, I remember things about the desk.
Oh, well, what's wrong with saying what you remember about the desk? Since
Well,
you don't care.
this is her story. I'm going to let her tell it. I'm not
Okay.
going to add to it.
Okay.
What? But you know, I remember these things. It's anyway. What was your mom like when you were a child? My mother was 20 years old when I was born, and my brother didn't arrive for 12 years. So we sort of grew up together. She took her responsibility as a mother very seriously and did a great job of training me to be a productive adult. Because her full time job was taking care of the house, preparing food, and sewing all our clothes, she was at home and available to spend quality time with me. Her Christian faith was essential to her life, so she made sure I went to church and from a young age helped me memorize scripture and biblical concepts. When I was just 2.5 years old, I got up uh, the in front of a packed church and said the books of the New Testament. She had a talent for teaching children and was a Sunday school and vacation Bible school teacher all her life. Throughout my childhood, she helped me accomplish my goals. When I wanted to give speeches and demonstrations in 4-H, she coached, helped me make visual aids, and encouraged me. She didn't tolerate laziness or shoddy work. In uh, in in that one year, I wanted to give a speech that even I knew I hadn't prepared properly, and she wouldn't allow me to do it. One of my demonstrations won at the local and regional levels, and I presented it at the Kentucky Fair in Louisville, Kentucky. Every year, Mom and I cultivated a large garden with a wide variety of vegetables and fruit. After a summer of weeding and tending, we harvested a large crop. We would freeze about 40 pints of corn, 50 quarts of tomato juice, and 30 quarts of green beans, bushels of potatoes, containers of kraut, many pints of frozen cherries, strawberries, and blackberries, and others. We harvested apples and made 40 apple pies
Oh.
ready to bake, and we froze. For several years, I won many first place ribbons at the county fair when we selected the best of our crop and fruits of our labor. And she entered them into the county fair in my name. One year we had a bumper crop of green beans, and my mom said I could advertise and sell some of them. I picked just barely a bushel of green beans to sell a customer, and mom made me return to the garden and pick enough for the bushel that the bushel was overflowing. She quoted the scripture from the King James Version: "Give, and it shall be given you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and overrunning, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that you met withal, it shall be measured to you." Again, Luke chapter 6 and verse 38. She was a great cook and made the best ever cornbread. She was generous and took 4 or 5 dishes to every church potluck. She brought food when someone was sick and or there was a death in the family. She also taught me how to sew, refinish furniture, iron clothes, mow the grass, and keep house by doing all these things. We worked together. She designed and I sewed all our clothes, beautiful dresses. She created and made the clothes we are wearing in the photo.
Look how pretty.
Okay, everybody finished looking at the photo?
Takes a second.
Let's see. Okay. She also made clothes for Dad and Tony when leisure suits were in style. Mom had a talent for interior design, and with Dad's help, remodeled and decorated our home, making the draperies and bedspreads, painting and putting up wallpaper. She enjoyed flowers and decorating for the holidays. She kept a beautiful lawn and went all out with Christmas decorations. When my brother was born, hello,
That's the brother.
I was 12 years old. She didn't think it was fair for me to have caregiving responsibilities. She never asked me to change a diaper or babysit. Sit. I helped her care for Tony, but she was always present. Next to her relationship with God, her family was the most important thing in her life. She was kind and loving, and she gave all her attention to the care of her family. What was your first big trip? Oh boy. When I was a child, we couldn't afford to go on big trips. We limited our vacation to driving to Dayton, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Crawford, Indiana, where we stayed and visited with aunts and uncles. When I was 9, we splurged and went on the only big trip we took when I was still living at home. We visited the Lookout Mountain in
Oh yeah.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. At that time, we needed to travel 2-lane, winding roads through mountains, and both Mom and I suffered from car sickness.
Oh.
Okay, no comments there. We visited the tricorner near Chattanooga, where the states of Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama meet. We stayed in a motel, possibly my only experience staying in a motel during my childhood. What were uh, what were what were your friends like in high school? I went to school with the same group of kids for 11 years, from first grade to 11th grade when I transferred to a different school, where I graduated from high school. I wasn't in the most popular group, but I knew everyone in my grade and we were close. Most of them were like brothers and sisters to me. I established 2 friendships in junior high school that remain my best friend through high school. Even though we hung out together, they were as different as daylight and dark, and I didn't believe either of them would have been close friends without me. I was the linchpin that held us together. They personified the two uh, diverse, most opposite sides of my personality. My friend Jan knew had never lived on a farm and was unaccustomed to farm animals. farm chores, or farm life. She was a voracious reader, yeah, and we spent many hours together reading books. Her family were members of
Yeah.
our church, so we were together on Sunday during vacation Bible school and other church activities. Almost every Sunday, I went home with her from church to spend the afternoon, or she came home with me. We returned to our rightful parents during the Sunday evening service at church. Her home was like a second home to me. We learned the alphabet in American Sign Language, and we could quietly communicate with each other during the
Mm-mm.
worship service by spelling out the words
Mm-mm.
with our hands on our
Mm-mm.
laps.
Oh,
Holly and her daughter Kara played together when we visited Kentucky. Uh,
okay, stop.
my other friend uh, was Gail Stevens. She grew up on a farm with two older brothers, and was a tomboy. I admired the way she fearlessly rode the horses of her independent and her independent spirit. I spent the night at her home many times. Her mother and Jan's mother were both very dear to me. And so this is Jan and Gail and me at my 15th birthday. Uh, Mom made the cake. And this
Let's
is
see.
in the dining room.
Oh,
Well, it's for them to see, not you to see.
I want to see too.
No, you can't see. Why would you get to see?
And they were 15.
15.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Little
my
babies.
goodness.
Little babies.
Well, I have time for one more. Did you consider any other career? How did you choose? The career I studied for in college was holistic nutrition. At the time, the school I thought it in mainstream nutrition was that processed foods such as sugar were natural for the body. They gave the body calories for fuel but posed no threat. As part of my education program, the discipline I studied disagreed and taught that processed foods caused inflammation and harmed the body. Before moving to Arizona, I graduated and set up a private practice. However, my ideology was considered fringe. So few people sought my advice, and my consultations and therapy was not covered by medical insurance. It wasn't long before I realized I couldn't make a living and had to rely on a full time job as a secretary to support what I uh, had become my hobby. When I moved to Kingman, Arizona, I obtained a position at the hospital as the public relations director. I did this for 2 years before marrying Brian. As soon as we married, he convinced me to work with him at the dental office. We worked together for 35 years and made a great team. Meanwhile, I continued to work up uh, to keep up to date as much as possible on the latest data and research regarding nutrition, then use the information I learned to help keep my family healthy. There's a photo of the dental office staff taken in 1916, 2016, 1 year before we retired. Oh, okay, here we go. So let's see, maybe one more. Did anyone in your family play a significant role in history? Two of my ancestors were soldiers in the Civil War. Galen Weddle was my great grandmother's. Emily Weddell Baugh father. He was born in 1843 and volunteered to fight for the Union in 1861, mustering out in 1865. He served as a corporal in Company D of the 3rd Kentucky Infantry. He survived the war, married, and had children, including my great grandmother. He was proud of his service and was a member of the Fraternal Order, Grand Army of the Republic, the GAR, a veterans group formed after the Civil War for those who served in the Union. Amos Baugh was my great great grandfather's Vincent Baugh's father. Yes, 3 greats.
3 greats. That's what I was gonna say.
That's how I always remembered them. He was born in 1821 and married in 1843. He was 40 years old when he volunteered to fight for the Union. He had small children, including Vincent, born in 1850, when he started his service in 1861. He was a corporal in a Company C of the 3rd Kentucky Infantry. Corporal Ball was wounded in a skirmish near Marietta, Georgia, 5 months before Sherman's troops marched into Atlanta. He died in a military hospital in Georgia on June the 8th, 1864. He was buried there. His wife, Jemima,
Jemima. Wow.
applied for a Civil War widow's pension. There were battles throughout Kentucky, including my hometown, Nancy, Kentucky, where they fought the Battle of Mill Springs or Fishing Creek. The term depends on whether the Union or Confederate, respectively. The buried of the Union dead started a national cemetery that to this day is used to bury active duty military and veterans. A Confederate cemetery nearby is called Zollicoffer Park in honor of Confederate General Felix Zollicoffer, who was shot from his horse and killed on the site. The photo was taken in 2007 when we attended the reenactment of the Battle of Mill Springs and Fishing Creek. Give you plenty of time to look at them. When the Battle of Mill Springs was fought in 1862, Vincent Baugh was 12 years old. His home was less than a mile from the battlefield. The story goes that early that foggy morning, General Zollicoffer rode his horse up to their gate and asked Vincent, who was in the yard, if he had seen any evidence of Union soldiers. The general tossed a pocket knife to Vincent as a reward for his trouble. When we retired and moved to the North Scottsdale area, we joined the Scottsdale Civil War Roundtable. As history buffs, Brian and I enjoyed the monthly lectures they provide. I appreciate all veterans and am incredibly proud of my ancestors from the Revolutionary War through the present who fought for our freedom. And so,
wasn't that good?
So we will start up next time with the question, what is the furthest you have ever traveled?
And so I would like to say that what would this book have to do with the way to a great marriage?
Okay. I guess we can comment now.
We can comment, and I think it is Cece's telling her story of her life and how she traveled out west and met Brian, and which is her husband, and her life all the way up to there. Now she'll tell about it, and they've been married for a long time. Her and Brian have, and
Well, you have stories of both grandparents.
yeah, the grandparents.
And the parents and how that they, mom. I was I thought that mom had her to take care of me and put her responsibilities on her from before she was old enough, and that's a codependent behavior. But mom was obviously wasn't as codependent as dad was. There was a couple of things. I thought she said that Grandma and Grandpa got married in 1928. I thought they got married in 1925. On the 21st day of August, on the 28th, he would have been 25. And so he got married a week before his 25th birthday. His mom told him not to get married till he was 25. But he couldn't wait. For a week. That was my understanding of the story.
Yeah.
And then the desk, I remember I thought there was like little pegs inside. There was a chalkboard that you could write on. It was there whenever I was growing up.
Well.
And then you flipped it open, and I thought I remember there being like little pegs in there that you could make little designs with and things.
Yeah, well, were there?
That's
You'd
my
have to ask Cece
that's my memory of that desk, and then I think that is about it. Oh, and the reason that they're probably car sick was that because Dad, you've heard Sissy talk about she'd sit in the back seat and go like this all the way.
COD, come over, darling.
She just slide back and forth in the back seat because when kids didn't wear seatbelts back then. And Dad drove to Somerset. It was floored all the way. So I can imagine trying to make it to Lookout Mountain with
goodness,
with Dad
on the old road.
You think I'm bad, but
no, you're a good driver now.
But Dad is like, he had 2 years. Stop and floored.
Stop and go.
Stop
really
and floored. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry for commenting on your book, Sissy. But,
oh, she don't care. She loves it.
But it does, it helps you to realize the importance of family, the importance of grandma and grandpa. My parents were always there to babysit my parents. Of course, they were an hour away.
Yes.
But, and that sort of thing. And mom was sick when Braden was here, but with, the other kids, they
she took care of them, didn't she? Yeah.
They were a part of raising the kids.
Yeah.
So that was it. So the groundhog jumps up in my.
The groundhog finally gets up in your lap.
We decided to shoot the groundhog. Anyway, so
power on.
We encourage you to like, subscribe, not only here but also on
Bluetooth
Rumble.
connected.
Who's ready to rumble? Are you? Are you? Annabelle is.
Then share. We have Against All Odds pinned to the top of the Waycast. We encourage you to share that Waycast. Then hit the notification button.
A ding, ding, ding. So you'll be notified when we go live.
So you can come on and harass us in person. So with that, we say.
What did we say, girls?
Good night. Good night. Until we meet again. Adios. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Till then.
And though it's always sweet sorrow to part,
You know you'll always remain in my heart. Good night. Sleep tight. And pleasant dreams to you. Here's a wish and a prayer that every dream comes true. And
And there you have our show, hit songs and fashions through the years. We hope we brought you some pleasant memories. Now from all of our musical family, good wishes.